everyone, it's DiabeticDanica. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm finally giving you my opinions on the Medtronic 780G insulin pump system with the Guardian 4 sensor in SmartGuard. So my last video was an overview of this system, so if you're looking for more information just about like this system overall, you'd want to check out that video. I'll link it in the description. This one is my opinion after wearing it for a month. So quick backstory, I got to wear it as part of the HCP trial, the healthcare professional trial, and my previous experience with wearing insulin pumps like long-term would be Animas and Tandem insulin pumps. I have tried out Omnipod just for 3 days. So my first impressions with the Medtronic insulin pump is that it's bigger than the Tandem. It's a little more clunky. It felt very vintage, like in terms of just the size of it. It kind of brought me back to my Animas in some ways. So I didn't love that, obviously. So some pants, like sweatpants or pajama pants, I would find it kind of tugging them downward, a little bit hard to hold up. I do love that it comes with a clip you can slide right on the back. My Animas pump was like that too, and I really liked having it on the actual pump body instead of Tandem where it's like an outside case that has a clip on it. So I was a big fan of the clip. Another thing I missed while wearing this pump was bolusing from my phone. So with my t:slim, my Tandem insulin pump, I do use the t:connect app and I bolus from my phone. So I put in my carbs, my blood sugar pulls through from my Dexcom, and I can bolus from my phone. And I really like not having to take my pump out and just going into my phone to give insulin. So I really missed that feature while I was on this pump. However, I do really like the shortcut bolus button. So if you're on your main menu and you hit the down arrow, it'll take you right to your bolus wizard where you can enter in your carbs. Your blood sugar is already there from the Guardian 4 sensor. And so it is quick, but I just didn't always like having to get the pump out. And again, some of these things are pretty nitpicky, small things, but this is just my experience and things that I noticed. As far as the Guardian 4, the first time I put it on, I don't know if I just got it in a weird spot or what, but it was kind of uncomfortable. It did get better though, so I think because I was in a training, I didn't put it as far back as I usually do. I kind of put it a little more forward, so maybe I barely got some muscle or something like that, but it did get better. However, I am just not a fan of the over-tape system with the Guardian 4 and Guardian 3, and pretty much all the Medtronic sensor transmitter combos. There's some over-tapes you have to put over it, and if you do it wrong, like I tried it on my abdomen, which is not FDA approved, but I did, and the way I put the tapes, I must have been sucking in or something where when I was relaxed, it was kind of, or when I bent over, I think, it was kind of pinching my skin a little bit because the transmitter, the plastic piece, was taped a certain way, and if I bent a certain way, it was like pinching. And when I finally took it off, there was a red mark there. So yeah, I just feel like they could definitely improve that, and they are going to. I mean, they're working on a new sensor transmitter combination. It'll be more of like an all-in-one patch kind of continuous glucose monitor like a Dexcom G6 or a Libre 3, that kind of stuff, where it's a single-use throwaway. So right now it does feel very outdated in terms of the way you put the transmitter on and tape it. Also, total personal opinion, I think it looks kind of ugly. Does that matter? Not really, but when I saw it on my arm, I was like, ugh, I do not like how that looks. I think too, because the transmitter ends up collecting so much adhesive residue as you wear it, and it's really hard to get off. And so sometimes, you know, I wouldn't take the time to try to get it off, and so it would have adhesive residue with some like maybe black coloring from my clothes or red coloring from my clothes, and I was just like, oh, it just looks gross. And when I see it on other people, I don't think, ew, that looks gross. But for me and my own insecurities, I was like, I don't like how this looks. But I do know some people that will just take, instead of bothering with the over tapes, they'll just get one big thing of tape, like rock tape or another kind of cloth tape, and just put it over the whole thing so they don't have to worry about the tapes. And I think that's probably a good solution. I did do that if the tape was starting to peel up. I would just put a whole thing over it, which was kind of nice, and then it would cover up what I considered not the most appealing look. The good thing about having the two over tapes is that if you do have a problem and you need to disconnect the transmitter for some reason, you could just take off one of the over tapes. So anyway, it leaves some to be desired as a person who was using Dexcom right before it. Another thing about the Guardian 4 sensor, I mean, the insertion process, the taping process, getting it all set up definitely takes longer than just popping on a Dexcom. I don't love that it has an inserter that you have to load every time. While I appreciate it for less waste because you don't have an inserter that you're throwing away with every sensor, it's just something else you have to have on you, like if you're traveling, or like if I wanted to take a sensor with me in case it died while I was out, I would have to bring this inserter and bring the charger for the transmitter, and it's just extra stuff. It doesn't make packing light very easy. But diabetes in general doesn't make packing light easy. While we're on the subject of Guardian, so it's designed to last for 7 days, which is fine. I'm okay with that. 7, 10. I'm used to 10 with the Dexcom, but 7 isn't that much different to me. The problem is they don't always last that long, and this can happen with any sensor, don't get me wrong. But I feel like I've heard feedback from people that it happens too much with this sensor, and I did have that experience where things kept failing early. Usually you'd have some notice, so it would say sensor updating. And I think this is a really common thing with the Guardian 4 because to make it no calibrations, they put some extra checks in there so it can check, make sure it's functioning properly. And if something's off, it's not gonna give you blood sugars, it's gonna say sensor updating. And the majority of the time, this is what we're told as Medtronic trainers, the majority of the time, 95% of the time, it'll resolve on its own within an hour. That's what we're told to train people. It's in the slide deck when we're training people on their Medtronic pumps. And that's more at the beginning of the sensor session, which yeah, if I just put one on, it went through the 2-hour warm up and then it was sensor updating. Usually that resolved. Maybe I had a little bit of blood or something that was affecting it. But if it happened at the end of the sensor or like midway through, that sensor was probably gonna die. Come here. Up, up. And sometimes it would come back for a bit and then it would say sensor updating again and then it would come back, but usually the sensor did end up failing. But at least I had some heads up, like I kind of knew it was coming, and you can get free replacements from Medtronic. They'll replace them for free if they don't last. But one of them was particularly annoying. I had done all this prep, I was getting ready to go to Christmas dinner. I'm in the car, I'm driving to Christmas dinner, and my sensor just completely fails with no warning. No sensor updating, no problems notified. It just said, replace sensor. And I was like, it's not time to replace the sensor. So that one was in my abdomen, which again, not FDA approved, but it was a free trial. I was trying it out. I was like, might as well try other sites. So maybe that had something to do with it, but yeah, definitely the sensors failing is a frustration. Overall, I did find the sensors to be pretty accurate. When I first put on the Guardian sensor, I kept my Dexcom on. Sorry, that's Am's growling a little bit. Here she is. I kept my Dexcom on and I just compared them, and they ended up being so close that eventually when the sensor expired for Dexcom, I just didn't put on another one. So I didn't have to wear two. Another weird thing that happened is it was cold out. I was wearing a coat to go walk my dog, and for some reason my Dexcom did not lose signal, but my Guardian 4 did, and I was like, can it not read through a coat? So I asked my Medtronic rep and he said to just make sure they're on the same side of the body, which I did try, and I think that improved it, but it just felt weird that the sensor could be lost just from that, especially during a walk when I kind of need it the most. So when you're not in the SmartGuard auto mode, you do have that feature where it can suspend for predicted low blood sugar or low blood sugar, which I do like. I like that because on the tandem pump, you can't have that. It's either Control IQ, the automation, or just manual mode. This one does have that suspend feature even when you're in manual mode. The thing I didn't like is that you couldn't bolus while it was suspended. So I was low, I treated the low, but then I ate a lot of extra stuff because I felt very low, and I was like, I'm just gonna bolus for this. I've done this a lot of times, and the pump wouldn't let me bolus for it. So I didn't, and I waited, and I went super high, of course. So the next time I just chose to manually unsuspend it to resume the insulin so that I could bolus. But for some reason, I just felt like it was weird that it wouldn't let me, but I guess, I mean, it kind of makes sense. In terms of infusion set, I love the Mio Advanced Extended Infusion Set. I love the insertion. It's so much better than the AutoSoft XC, the AutoSoft 90s. I have just noticed a lot more of the AutoSoft infusion sets hurt when I inserted them compared to the Mio Advance, and I think the Mio Advance is just so quick. It's so automatic. It's so already set up for you, and I think the needle goes in and comes out so fast, whereas the AutoSofts are kind of like this mechanism that you have to set and then deploy. They don't always deploy at the same time, like the two sides, and then the needle is still in there and you got to pull it back. Like, I just don't like that process as much compared to this Neo Advance. And then of course, having an infusion set last for 7 days is awesome. I have always had to change it every 3 days, or I'm supposed to, and it's just really nice to not have to do that and to do it weekly. It's much less of a burden. I really appreciate it. Also, I noticed it has this little window on the outside of the infusion set, and when you look in it, you can see the skin near where the cannula is inserted, so that you kind of know if it's red or like having problems. I kind of thought that was cool. I've never noticed that on the AutoSoft. I don't think it has it. And if it does, it's not as apparent. And I think for those people that are maybe older, have dexterity issues, that kind of stuff, it's gonna be way easier to insert something like a Neo Advance that's just remove the adhesive backing, take off the lock and push a button. I just love it. I think it's a big improvement. It's less cumbersome to figure out. And then some minor things. I have seen the Medtronic pumps a million times and I never realized the buttons are backlit, but that was kind of cool. It does take a regular AA battery or lithium AA battery, but just a battery. And so that is kind of annoying having to switch that out. Although on the flip side, it is nice not to have to charge the pump. But I did have to change it once during the trial, and I really liked that it just picked back up where it left off. I have let my tandem pump battery die before, and when you plug it back in, you gotta go through the load process again, kind of pretend you're loading a new cartridge, fill the tubing, all that stuff. But on the Medtronic, it just picked up right where it left off, so I did appreciate that. So let's get into SmartGuard. So my experience with their auto mode. The bummer is before you can get into their auto mode, you have to wear the pump for at least 3 midnights, and then it'll let you switch in. So I had to go back to manual mode, and I really, really, really struggled in manual mode. I was either high or low. I was having high highs, low lows over and over and over again, and it was extremely frustrating. It was just, I hated it. So that was really hard. I didn't realize my manual mode settings were that far off from what I needed and how much I was taking Control-IQ automation for granted. Once I got into SmartGuard, we did do the recommendation that Medtronic recommends starting off, but ask your doctor, of course, or provider, whoever you see. We did the target blood sugar of 100 and the active insulin time of 2 hours. That's what they recommend. That's where they saw great results in the studies. So I did that. And terrible. So many lows every day, multiple times a day. I was having like 3 or 4 lows a day, maybe not 4, but like around 3-ish lows a day. And I was miserable. My brain was miserable. It was so hard to think. I was just not having a good time. So we definitely backed off the settings quite a bit. My active insulin time is much longer now. My target's higher. We changed carb ratios, all that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely the transition was really hard for me. But then my lows improved. And overall, on the Medtronic 780G with Guardian 4 in SmartGuard, my time in range was better. So I've been struggling with my time in range, with my average blood sugar, with my A1C. Like, I just haven't gotten to the goals that I want to meet, and I go to my provider every 3 months and we adjust settings. And of course I have things in my life that I could change. I could definitely improve my diet, and I'm not the best pre-boluser. There's stuff I work on and need to improve, but overall, I just could never get to where I wanted to be, I felt like. But while I was on the Medtronic, my time in range got to where my goal was, and overall, I was just in range way more on this pump. And I was like, shoot. Like, yes, there's things about this pump I don't like. There's things I do like in terms of the mechanics, how you wear it, the sensor. But overall, the point of the pump, the point of my sensor, the point of the auto mode is to keep my blood sugars in range, and this pump is doing that better for me for some reason, and I don't know why. So it really got me thinking, and even though it shocked me, because I never thought this would happen, I decided that I should get one. So I did. I'm technically still in warranty on my tandem pump, but you can choose to do an in-warranty trade-in, basically. So you trade in your tandem, and then they give you a rebate on the cost of your new Medtronic pump. And the weird thing is I had just renewed my warranty for my Tandem, so I actually had 2 Tandem pumps. The one I was wearing was out of warranty, and then I had my in warranty one, my brand new one, just in the box waiting for when I don't know, something happened to my current one, because there was nothing wrong with it, but the warranty expires every 4 or 5 years. So I technically had 2 Tandem pumps anyway, so I'm like, if I give them the new one, I'll still have one as backup. And I had FSA money I had to use up before the end of the year, and I was like, the pump's pretty much gonna be free with the rebate from trading in my Tandem and my FSA dollars free. I mean, I know that's my money, but I have to spend it before the end of the year. So I decided, what the heck, let's do it. So this one is actually not the trial. This one is my pump. I haven't switched to it yet, but yeah, I officially did switch over. I have a lot of Tandem supplies, and I still have my Tandem pump. I'm literally wearing it right now, but I am gonna switch over to this and we'll see how it goes. The reason I haven't switched over, so the trial ended, I put my Tandem back on. I have had trouble with Medtronic getting my orders right, and I don't know what the problem is, and I don't want to throw them under the bus by any means, but I really want the extended wear infusion sets and reservoirs. That's one of the perks. That's one of the reasons I switched to this pump. So I asked for those. I asked for a 9mm extended infusion set. He said, okay. I talked to a person physically on the phone. So I was on the phone with the guy that's been helping me, and I asked for a 9mm cannula, extended wear infusion sets, and he said, okay. Then they sent me the regular ones, not the extended 7-day wear. So I called him and I told him, I said, I really want the extended wear. And he did apologize and he said, yeah, we sent you the wrong ones. So I did have to send those back. And then he sent me the new ones. And I just got those within the last week, I think. I opened them up and they're 6mm, not 9mm. So I don't know what the issue is. I don't know why they can't send me the right one. I know mistakes happen, but it's just not the great first impression that you want. But I'll use the 6mm this time, not a huge deal. I've used both 6 and 9. And my Medtronic rep did give me a sample box, so I can use those, and I think those are 9mm. Yeah, they are. But the next time I will try to get the 9mm. But yeah, even though I did have some sample supplies, I could have switched to my Medtronic. I really didn't want to have to do manual mode again for this pump to be worn for 3 midnights before going into auto mode, and then for some reason run out of my sample supplies and have to switch back to my Tandem and then do it all over. Like, I just didn't want to have to deal with that. So I was waiting till I fully had my shipment, which I do now, and I'm currently wearing my last Dexcom that I have, and so once I'm done with that, I will have used up my Dexcoms and I can switch over. But anyway, yeah, so this journey definitely had a different outcome than I was expecting, maybe than you were expecting too. I'm officially going to be a Medtronic pumper, and I never thought I would see the day, just because in the past, like I said, their pump, you always had to calibrate the sensor, and I wasn't a fan of that. I just felt like their auto mode in the past was really needy. It asked for a lot of blood sugars, but I tried it out. My blood sugars are more in range. I didn't have to calibrate, except, I mean, maybe I had to poke my finger when sensor was updating. That was, you know, not the best thing. And sometimes I would put it off and that would lead to a high blood sugar, so that wasn't great. One time it did ask for a blood sugar because I had been low for too long. It was suspending my insulin for too long, and it wanted to make sure that was accurate. It asked for a blood sugar, but overall it really wasn't asking me for a lot of blood sugars, other than the sensor updating mainly, which I already mentioned is annoying and people think is annoying. But I think compared to the auto mode in the past, it's way less needy. And so yeah, I'm willing to give it a whirl and see if I can get my A1C down with this auto mode, with this SmartGuard. So is it perfect? No. Is any insulin pump perfect? No. So yeah, that's kind of my journey on the Medtronic 780G Guardian 4 SmartGuard. If you've tried it out or if you're on it, please, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you're on a different pump, let me know. Just anything, your thoughts around the different things I talked about. I know this was a really long video, so if you made it to the end, give me a thumbs up. Thank you so much. And that is my cute little Pampers is barking. Pampers, I'm almost done, hun. Whenever people go by outside, she likes to bark at them. Yeah, there's someone walking. Literally just minding their business. She protects the homestead, okay? But yeah, I know this was a long video. If you made it this far, give me a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe. I make videos about diabetes, so if you're into that, want to see more, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.